At the making of this video, I do not have an update, but I want to share a few things because when I'm working on a case like this, and this is voluntary, no one has asked me that is involved, and I am not law enforcement, and I am not putting myself into this investigation. I just want you to know this is entertainment. That's what it is. So I'm not interfering with this investigation. I'm showing and telling you how I tarot profile, how if I were involved, and there's many other things I would be doing too, but for the most part, what you're seeing is exactly what I would be doing if I were invited into a missing person investigation. It's just the way it is. Some things, daily will change. At the making of this video, it is Friday, February 6th of 2026, 12:14 p.m. And I picked those times on purpose. One day we'll talk about that. But today, before we get the cards out, I want to, well, for those of you who are just joining me, this is the area. I printed this out on the 3rd of February when I did my first video. If you've missed that, I will be glad to put it right up here so you can catch up with all of us. Now, this is the area, Catalina Foothills, that she was residing in. I do not have a location. I'm not going to give it. But this is the Tucson, Arizona area. What I want to talk to you briefly about before we get started in the cards and in dice, and you never know. There's something very off about this. Now, I'm not throwing shade at the family. And I made a remark about reward money, and many of you were upset. And I want you to know that this is no shade against anyone. So going forward, because my goal here is I want to see Nancy come home. She belongs at home. She needs medication. We all know that. But I want to talk about the call with Savannah, Annie, and I think his name is Cameron, the brother. That call lasted approximately 3 minutes, 97 seconds. I want to talk about that time for a minute. So 3 minutes, 97 seconds is what I got. Let's reduce this. So this is 16:3. That is 19. Now, we don't do the double digits. We come here and we reduce it once more. I'm going to mark this here, call. I'm sorry. Well, we'll do the video call. I don't know why I said call, but it is a video. Probably because they talked about a call in the video. We reduce that as 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. This is very important. The number 1, they've circled right back. They're at ground zero. They don't know any more now than what they did when they got started. Basically, there's some little hints in the video. Savannah says something about referencing, I'm paraphrasing. Basically, they have not seen any ransom notes. They've just been told. I've since seen that the brother, Cameron, I think, has made a statement, but they're all reading the statements. Now, I get that, and it's on purpose, because there's some little Easter eggs in the statements. Maybe we'll go over that sometime. I'm certain that someone with the FBI has advised them of what to say. This is completely different than any other plea for a family member that I have seen. Doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm not throwing shade on anyone, but this is getting very sus with me. And there is something wrong. And if I were dealing with law enforcement, I would go to them and say, okay, now, if you want me to do my job, I need to know exactly what you are doing. I need to know where you're coming from and what you have so I can parse that, because otherwise you're going to waste my time and I'm going to waste yours. And I'm not being harsh. I'm just saying this, and this goes to people that are investigating. And many times when that has happened in the past, they will come and they'll say, well, we know this and this and this, and it does match with this, but we're still wondering about this. Then don't sit and force me to guess, because I don't guess on these things. When I say force, when they don't want to just say anything, they just let me sit without any information at all. And they find out in the end that it's confirming what they have. There's something off. I want to find out what it is. I'm going to ask the cards. We're going to ask the dice. We're going to maybe do a little numerology. I don't know how this is going to turn out. But one thing I do know is that I'm glad that you're here with me, and welcome. Please do me a favor, like and subscribe. And if you decide you want to stay and subscribe, we've got a really good community here. This is a safe space. We're all here for a reason, and that is because we want Nancy to come home. And if my heat source comes on and you hear it, my apologies. Okay, it's still a little chilly. I'm going to leave this out for the energy, and what I'm going to do is we're going to line these up. Now, many of you may have seen this before. I'm going to leave the key out here because that is important. I want you to see it. We'll put it here. We are missing something. And we would like to know if you will give us an indication. Now, I have shuffled before we started. I've cleared the decks. I've cleared my table. Put us in the direction that we need to see where Miss Nancy is. Because frankly, I don't care if anybody is suspect or there's some suspicion here. She needs to be found, and then all of that will come out in the wash. That's how I look at it. She's first priority, regardless of what they're saying and doing. All right, here we are. Okay, so this is a confessional. I'm listening, my darlings. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm just listening to what needs to be said. All right, so we'll lay out this first, and then we'll start reading the story. An enemy, okay. There's the man. Leadership. I'm going to say this. This is not, first of all, this is not a political channel. So big comments about what political people are doing it really doesn't belong here. But what I will say is this. Someone, this person, did not like what Nancy thought. And I do believe, based on my card readings overnight, and we're going to see how that comes out, that this person doesn't like what other family members believe in either. Let's continue. Is this person a relative to Nancy? That's the next question, and we'll go through the cards. Are they a relative? Interesting card. Now, this is a raven on an open book. Candles in a library, in a dim setting. You can see this. This little fellow, I call him Poe. Poe is sitting there in front of this open book because, first of all, ravens are very, very smart. And they will gravitate toward any type of... They're mysterious little fellows, and they will gravitate toward any type, sometimes of a mystery. They can be very loving, and they can be very obnoxious. The point is, this person was close to her, close enough to understand her habits, how she lived. Let's draw another card. And I want to also thank you so much for your kindness in being here, because it means so much to me. And for those of you who are brand new, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's getting interesting, my darlings. Getting interesting. Getting interesting. Here's the interesting thing. There are two cards. This is a Piotnik deck, by the way. Can't really find them anymore. This type. This is old. This deck is probably close to 20 years old. At least, maybe 18 to 20 years old. This card and this card match. This is a jealousy, and this card takes it one step further, because it's a 5 of spades, and the 5 of spades is all about this jealousy, misunderstandings, taking communication too personally. That's where this is. Not only that, but it's also a situation where it becomes very unpleasant, extremely unpleasant. This card of wisdom. So they had knowledge. They gathered knowledge. Okay. Was this a random act? And look what fell out. This card, since I made this deck, in all crime, and this is a crime situation, in all crime situations, readings, doesn't matter who, this card comes out, and it gives me the chills. Because it represents that last normal moment. That last normal moment of which the moment before, we say it this way, the decision is made to commit a crime. But while there, they start thinking it through, and now they're becoming watchful. They're making a plan. They've settled in. The coat is on the back of the chair. They've settled in. And paranoia will set in, if I can talk today. So that's the beginning. So basically, and I'll give you my synopsis here in just a moment. Misfortune. There's that other person that has been pulled in. And a person that's motivated by money. Just say it that way. I maintain that this lead person who had the idea, that gave all the information to this other person, happiness. I want to tell me more about this card, happiness. I want to qualify this card. There's the other person. So there's people that are arm's length. Happiness, are they related? With this Two of Hearts, I'm going to say that I would maintain that there is possibly, sorta, kinda, a family member. Spring is definitely significant to Nancy. I don't know why, but it is. But the happiness, I'm just going to go back and say she was happy that night when she went back to her home Saturday night. We're on day 5 now. 5 is biblical numerics. It is grace, is what it means. Sometimes it'll mean probation, but it is grace. February is month 2. So 5 and 2 are 7, and then 2026 reduces to a number 1. That's a number 8. Number 8 is all about financial. It's all about money. So I'm going to go ahead and say we will be hearing more about ransom notes today. Now, I want to go back to this recording. I am not okay. I'm not criticizing the family at all. I'm questioning how this came about, because the statements were read, we see that. But I didn't hear anything about, look, we don't know who you are, but you need to bring our mom home. We maybe heard a little bit of that, but the one message that I kind of raised an eyebrow, and it was like, Mama, you need to come home. Well, of course she does. Now, I get that. But there's some oddities in this whole particular case. Do I think that it may be stemming back politically about something that someone in the family has said or done, and maybe Nancy felt that way, or it points to that. I'm not going to say that, but it points to that. Okay, this card. This card represents that person that has gone too far. You see a little bit of the same stuff here that was on Nancy's threshold on her front porch. You see someone is bandaged. I believe that's Nancy. The reason you're seeing this guy and this guy is because there's a reflection happening here. And you probably can't see it, but there's a figure back here reflecting in the mirror. The reason that this is coming out now, it's because, not that she's passed. I'm not saying yes or no. I just want her to be found and brought home. The person who did this is willing to go far. Because when you set out to do this type of thing, there's never a stopping point. There's never this, you know what? And if we go too far, we're going to... No, no. It's you start and you follow it through to the end. These people know what's up. They knew that it was going to garner nationwide attention because of Savannah. And I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to make anyone else mad. There are other people that are missing that are not getting the same attention. And I wish that weren't so. I wish everybody that we're missing could get this. And it would be overwhelming because there are people that are missing that you and I don't even know about. Is Nancy a widow? I think so. Two cards. Safe travels and healing energy. Nancy needs medical attention very quickly. I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing. But when certain cards come out in certain ways, there's absolutely no doubt. Now, this card here, we've seen this. This card usually is the same as a Nine of Cups, which is the yes card, the wish come true, the heart's desire, the goal achieved. And the Nine of Hearts, because don't know if you understand or know, but the tarot comes from the playing card deck. Most people think it's the other way around. It's not. The tarot comes from the playing cards. And frankly, I learned from the playing cards. And next month, I will be celebrating my 51st year of reading. 51 years of reading. Last year was my 50th anniversary. This is 51. I read cartomancy only for years and then started bringing in the Piotnik decks and all this. And it was just probably within the last 15 to 20 years that I brought in the tarot. But this card with the heart upside down means emotional games. So this is something to get back at the family. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm pretty sure I can, in my opinion, I will bank on that. This card, this dice fell out. Reason it says bicycles, that's the manufacturer. I use bicycle dice because they are so solid and the numbers never wear off. I used to have a dice set that I loved. They were wooden, but the numbers wore off of them, unfortunately. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 6 plus 1 is 7. And we've got the 7s. We've had 7s here. 7 is a very good number. But I'm also going to tell you about 7. 7 can be a very unlucky number when it comes to money. 8 is better because 8 can be written as an infinity. But 7 is not so good. We're basically urged to believe that. I mean, it's okay. 7 is okay. It's more of a divine biblical number. But why do you think many casinos, have the number 7? Because the casino is always in favor of winning. So of course they're going to put the 7. You know, everybody thinks lucky 7 tonight, Frank Sinatra. But it's not so lucky in money. So it could be 2 days in the 7th, or it could be today. Which so definitely I believe we're going to be hearing about more ransom today, or something more today will happen with the ransom. Can we have any indication as to where and when Nancy will be found? Any indication whatsoever? There will be a written instruction. The people who have done this already know that I'm sure that whomever it is being tracked. And I just want you to know that agencies, law enforcement always play dumb, because they want people, the criminals, to relax. And when criminals relax, they make bad decisions on top of the bad decision they've already made, but they make mistakes. This fellow, even if he is indirectly related or directly related, I can't help it. There's some type of something there. I just have a question. If they impounded Annie's car, that's one thing. But I believe they should be impounding the Uber driver's car. The Uber driver was the last one saw Nancy when they dropped her off. So there's something there, if you know what I mean. So why have not we heard? Now, it's not the Uber driver's responsibility to sit there and make sure that she gets in the house. If I were an Uber driver and I drove up and there were not street lights, but whatever, and she's 84 years old, I would sit there and wait to make sure that she got inside okay. So I don't think that getting inside was the problem. I think there were other things that were the problem. And this is not a one-person job. I do believe, in my honest thought process based on what I've seen in the last few days and overnight, that whatever was seen, what they saw on this camera outside, was not an animal. Someone could have been inside, beginning making the play. It had to be someone who knew the floor plan of Nancy's house. How would they know where the nesting cameras are? It's a matter of deduction. So could it be that it was someone that had a family member that had a disagreement with Nancy? Absolutely, absolutely. But do I believe it could have been having a disagreement with other family members and Nancy took that other family member's side? Could that be it? I have a problem. Now, before I say this, there are many people that live on their own, just like with Nancy. And hindsight is always 20/20. Well, they should have done this. Well, there was only 3 miles away. Well, you know what? We all live our lives. We all live. We all make mistakes. We all do our own thing. Who would have known The Uber drive was not important because whomever dropped Nancy off may not have gone inside anyway and just let her go inside. But what bothers me is, why did the cameras not have service? What? You've got cameras there. But you see, film always goes to the cloud. So smashing a camera to a certain degree would hide what happened. But someone has to approach the camera. There would be indicators of this. I do not believe this was a professional thing at all. And I'm going to say this, most professionals, my understanding of them through other law enforcement, would just go up and spray paint. You don't even take the lens, you just spray paint over it, done. So somebody thought that they were going to be well thought. But it was this person, who invited others to come in and be involved. Now, are there others? Yes, there are 2 more on top of it. And the reason being is because the longer this thing goes, the more help these people are going to be seeking. They're not going to get away with it. They already know this. So now it's a matter of deduction. And I want you to know, sometimes some kidnappers self-eliminate because they know. They know. It's a federal offense now. The feds are involved. It's a federal offense. And pardon me, but I don't really understand the local law enforcement. Had this one. So there are definitely 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different pathways, all trying to come centered to a common denominator. They move in the dark. They try to move in the shadows. And thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to continue. Bye for now.